And we're back. So just in time for the second semifinal, but just to recap, maybe you stepped off real quick or something, but Gosu advanced to the finals. Given that they've already qualified for Worlds before this tournament, they already pretty much got what most people would consider the top prize in the Worlds invite. And since Gosu can't be two different seats at the at Worlds, effectively the winner of this other semifinals is getting the ticket to Worlds. So that match is going to be between Prackalakin and GameGromp, and between all the matches that have been played, this is pretty much the one with the highest stakes. I mean, there are some things you can do with money, but you can't just buy a ticket to Worlds. So it's going to be really interesting. I think both these players are very deserving of such prestige or the ability to play in that, and we're gonna cut down to the deck list and then go over that before watching the semifinals. So this is Prackalakin's Destruction mid-range deck. A little bit different than some of the other ones that we've looked at today. Can you break this down for me, I'm so bad?
Um, yeah, so this is a Praxis mid-range, not Praxis, Firetime Shadow, what is that, Destruction
Yep.
mid-range? And we see actually more influence requirements in this deck than the previous Destruction deck that we saw. We're double everything. So double Shadow, double Fire, double Time. Um, a little less heavy on the 5 drops and more focused on interaction, it looks like. Uh, but yeah, this deck is pretty much doing the same thing as the Xenon mid-range decks do, with a little extra interaction from the fire with Combust, Stonebreaker Bow, and Vikram's Bomb.
Yeah, so you're playing a little more like unconditional removal spells in Combust in addition to the bombs. You also are playing Sindane. I don't think the previous build we looked at was playing Sindane. So that can help ramp you up to your higher end or help kind of smooth out the curve. And then we see Zito here to combo with the that Combust, but there's no Devours. So kind of just shifting around some of the numbers. We even see just two Waystone Igniters and two Nutty's Faithful. Don't worry, I can talk sometimes.
Yeah, the
We're
most interesting thing about this deck list for me is the Solux, which we have not seen in any of the other lists. It gets a little outsized by some of the bigger flyers, but the flying charge 4/4 that silences the void is definitely not something to be trifled with. It can do a
Yes,
lot of work.
there's a few things that Solux does a little bit better than the other 5 drops. So its stats are, or given its keyword ability, it's a little bit better than Krogar in terms of just being a threat. Kind of like how we saw Curiox in the last match from Gosu, in terms of just like attacking. You make through the unknown a lot worse in terms of silencing the enemy void, and then just being able to have killer on this makes it so that way you can play this threat before a Vikram would happen. And sure, they would Vikram this Solux, but like you might be able to set up a line where they Vikram something else, then you Solux hit them the next turn you get to killer the Vikram, and sure that's like a lot of different steps, but you might not feel as good about, or you might not feel as bad about like committing the Solux to the to the battlefield. So we're gonna cut over to the next deck list. So this is GameGromp's Xenon mid-range deck, which I think looks very similar to DQ Doggo's from the finals of the last Open. So how are the numbers different here? And we even see some different card choices than say Lights Out Aces list.
I'm not sure that the other decks were playing End of an Era. That's the first thing that I noticed
Mm-hmm.
that's different. Also, Eavesdrop. I really like Eavesdrop as a Void Stealer and also Hand Disruption. I don't know if the other decks were playing it. I don't think they were, though.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that. Um, yeah,
Other than that, it looks like all the numbers are pretty similar. Only two Blackmark Carnosaurs as opposed to the four in most of the other lists. And it looks like we've also dropped the Through the Unknowns in this list.
yep.
So
There's four
no
Zetos.
reanimation.
Right, yeah. There's four Zetos that are helping to fuel the Devour, which is Zeto's not in all the different lists, but it can kind of be a curve smoother, and Zeto kind of combos with Eavesdrop. Like once you start playing your first discard spell, then your next discard spell becomes a little bit better.
Yeah, should be a good match we've got here.
All right, so
I think if I had to put my money down somewhere, it would be on GameGromp, just for the fact that it's two colors against three.
I tried using that logic in the top eight, and it worked out for me.
It did
Um,
work out for you. Yeah, see, you're teaching me all this stuff that I'm stealing.
I'm trying to think. I think I'd actually take Prackalakin here.
Oh man, I did it wrong again. I'm so bad.
I mean, we'll see. At least we got all bases covered. I think that's we someone on the misplay would have predicted this one right. So we'll figure out who it is. But I think I just like the setup with the combust and the Solix quite a bit. Like I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Like I can't put as much into words, but I like the Sindane and the Solux, just like the different small decisions. So, but we'll see
So
how it plays out.
as we move into our opening hands, what do you think about these opening hands?
So the thing that's important for both of them is you want a bunch of power. So most of your two power hands you could probably just first mulligan because since you have the uniform distribution between two, three, and four power hands, that if you have a two power hand, then it can't really get worse. And then I just want every three and four power hand. And both of them have four power hands, so I'd be happy in either of their seats with the opener.
Yep, absolutely. So looks like Game Gromp is going to get a turn two nest, and we do not see a turn one Zito. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense when you have a heavy tome hand that you don't want to be too depleted. You want to get the rat nest or the rat king to be able to interact with the nest a little bit better, along with Sindane down sooner. And like the Zito, like the 1/1 body doesn't matter that much. And if you save it, you might be able to two spell in a turn and play the Zito to get their last card.
So in a matchup like this, are you going to play the Rat King on three, or are you looking to wait till four when you can activate it right away?
In whose seat?
Mm, let's do Prax since Game Gromp has elected to throw down the Rat King.
Well, so both of them aren't playing a card like Saloon Massacre, so I think you can just play it on three, like regardless of which one it is. We do see Prackalakin instead choosing to play Sindane and contract it, and then maybe looking to attack and get a power burst next turn. Kind of without any board clears in their deck, though, they might just fall behind here. I mean, one play you can even do is you can, yeah, so you can Zito, use Rat King, sacrificing the Zito on the Sindane, and attack with the Rat King. And then if you ever get the Sindane to having zero attack, then it can't draw like power bursts. Okay, so doing it this way makes it so that way you trade, whereas before you wouldn't trade. Oh no, I was kind of resigned to so no attacks, no blocks. That's kind of interesting for me. It seems like Game Grump should have attacked with the Rat King then.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we didn't attack or block with the Rat King.
It is
Okay,
true that
so
the Prague needs to address the dinosaur's nest in some way, but still paying off the debt from the Sindane is a little bit rough.
everybody's coming across now.
I think it even could have been possible that either you play Rat King or you play Sindane and don't contract. Because you're just falling behind the scale wide strategy, and you don't even have Krogar in your deck. Like you don't have many catch up mechanisms. You actually have to deal with all these things one at a time. Knight's Faithful's arguably your best card, but we know that Game Grump has a shrivel in their hand, and it's just chock full of removal.
Yeah, it is interesting that Prac decided to lead with the Sindane instead of the Rat King, because I expected the Rat King to come down first just because it doesn't have a contract ability.
Mm-hmm.
And it lets you do a little bit more on the next turn.
Yeah, so this turn, all the dinosaurs are going to turn into 3/3s. And we're oh, okay, so we're gonna see the combust here. Oh, Zito, interesting.
So that's gonna discard the Rat King, I would guess.
Probably the Rat King. It's true that Carnosaur is actually a lot worse against Prax deck, given that it's Combust and Vikram's Bomb and Vikram proper. Like, there's just so many things that make it so that way. You just care about quantities of like cardboard. Like, I think, yeah, GameGromp
Oh,
ultimately
okay.
agrees. Yeah.
That makes sense, especially given that we know we're gonna shrivel this turn. That lets us play the Rat King this turn.
Mhm.
That does definitely make a lot of sense.
Right. So you can shrivel attack with all your 3 powered units if you want. And it can't even go that badly for you.
What do you think about just sending everything?
Hmm. Yeah, that's fine too. Like, given that you have this extra Rat King in reserves, it's like Prackalakin really doesn't have good catch-up mechanisms against such a wide board. Like, let me see, what's even their best card to draw here? Another Nahid's Faithful. Yeah,
Yeah, I
don't.
think I'm just shriveling the faithful and a spacing because even if a rat gets traded into the Rat King, you can just sack another rat after combat and kill it if you really wanted to,
Mhm.
or play the second rat or the third Rat King rather. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of options for Game Gromp here.
So I think the big consideration is you can use Rat King to permanently kill Zito. So you can just shrivel, use Rat King to kill the Zito. Um, and then you can send with all, and then you're guaranteed to have a Rat King still live in play. Because if you let the Zito die naturally, yeah, I guess you just end up playing both your units in that case too. Okay, interesting. So the Rat King first. Hmm.
So if you're playing the Rat King first, that kind of implies to me that you're not going to shrivel, which surprises me.
It could be that Game Grump wants to just sack 2 rats, one on the Zito and one on maybe the Charged Dinosaur or something like that. Or maybe looking to just kill their Rat King. I'm not really sure.
Does Prack have a nest on his side?
It's a sheltered valley, but not.
Okay.
Meanwhile, oh, sorry. I was looking at Game Grump. Prackalakin, I think, has a nest that has been activated once for the charge one.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks like
So
you were
that's
right.
and then just send with the 3/3. Yeah.
Huh.
So in terms of fast spells from Prackalakin's side, it's just call the hit. So that means you're able to safely double block the Nahid's Faithful if you want to. Man, I'm so bad. Just imagine being one of these players fighting for your seat at Worlds. Like, just every decision.
I mean, all these decisions matter so much. This is so difficult.
So one thing that's interesting about attacking with the Nahi's Faithful is that since Bracklocken doesn't have any fast spells, you can actually just put a Rat King and your 3/3 Overwhelm Dinosaur on the Nahi's Faithful. And then what's going to happen, like, if you put the Rat King, and then if you trade Rat Kings, then you kind of just trade your Nahi's Faithful for a 3/3, which is, like, kind of interesting to me.
You are
Like,
gaining 4 life, but yeah, that does seem like you're losing a lot. But it looks like Game Grop is just gonna let the faithful through.
hmm. Oh no, with no fast spells to make it go wrong, I feel like I would have liked the multi-block plus trading Rat Kings. I'm trying to think. Maybe they just value being able to use multiple Rat King effects in one turn.
Okay, so Prac deploys his Rat King, and now he has 3 blockers.
Hmm.
Yeah, see, these boards are already so complex that I just do not know what the optimal play is.
That's fine. So if you're able to get rid of their Rat King, it makes each of the Rat tokens a lot worse since they can't block. and then you have the Nahi's Faithful checked. So just in terms of just actually killing each other, GameGromp's board does that, and Prackalakin's doesn't.
Yeah, I feel like I would be a lot more comfortable in GameGromp's seat if that 4/4 lifesteal wasn't on the board.
I mean, it might just not be on the board after this turn. Or maybe they're saving it for something like Evelina, which Prackalakin hasn't really had a chance to be able to deploy.
That's true. I wonder if they're going to save Evelina for next turn when the dinosaur nest flips so that it will be immune to the shrivel. Not
Yeah.
immune, but
Yeah.
at least won't
Resistant.
trade. Resistant, yes. All right.
Oof.
So Shrivel is going to stop from gaining life here, and then... See, now I don't know whether we're supposed to attack the site or the face. What do we do, Watchwolf?
Well, given that the victimless crime wasn't played, but the victimless crime can only hit the rat. So I think you actually just go face.
Go.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
We went for the site.
Of course, yeah. The victimless crime was already played. Thank you. Yeah, I think this is fine. I don't think you had to, though.
So Evelina is going to do a lot here. It's going to hit for 6 and draw 5/5. This is really close.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, wow, that Zito is big.
Into an Evelina.
Oh wow, and with the 1 power left over, Evelina's
Well,
gonna come down.
that's just Game Kiss of the Sheltered Valley. It's 12 damage.
Oh, that's right. Oh, there's a sheltered. Okay, there's a sheltered valley on both sides now.
Yeah, cracking the tank, but they don't know that it's already over.
Wow. What a game one.
All right, so GameGromp takes game 1, so literally just 1 game away from Worlds.
Very exciting series. There were a lot of really intricate, tight, close decisions there that really, I mean, you could play that game so many times in a row, even with those same draws, and come out with different results, I feel. I really didn't think that anything was, super obvious one way or the other.
Yeah, and we might have 1 or 2 more of these games, so just a really big grind. But if you're in the player seat, you gotta rest. If you're a Game Grump, you can't just count your chickens before it hatches. Prackalakin, you're still 2 games away from being able to qualify for Worlds, so maybe just take a quick walk or grab a beverage or something like that, as I should too.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever I'm competing in these, I always need to just, take a breath. Even if I've won the game, you still need to kind of get in the right mindset, give yourself a second to reset for that next game, especially with so much on the line.
Yeah, I'm pretty known for doing a bunch of yoga stretches, going to the bathroom, getting water. I have a whole routine of things that I do at home, but while we're waiting for the next match to start, we're going to cut over to the biographics for both these players. Either one of them might be in the World Championship.
Let's learn a little bit about these guys. Okay. GameGromp, notable achievements, this. I feel like we've seen this earlier.
Yeah, we haven't seen
still like it
yet, but Simpsons Discord monthly trivia winner. The Simpsons has so many references. It's hard to keep up with all of them.
I actually just started watching that series again on Disney Plus.
Oh wow. Wait, there's so many seasons.
There's so many seasons. I had only seen I don't know, the first 6 or 7. There's 33 seasons or something crazy. It's a long running show.
All right, and here we have Prackalakins.
All right, so Prackalakin, he always brings super interesting decks. I really like watching what he brings to the table. Flipped Witching Hour with Red the High Roller. That actually is quite an achievement. I don't think I've ever flipped Red. I love high rolling, but I'm just not good at it.
Yeah, and this fun fact I think is very nice too. Donate streaming proceeds to charity. So, Prackalakin does stream once in a while. So you can follow them on Twitch, regardless of outcome of match. And, it's always a good time. I try to tune in when I can. I'm more of a lurker when I watch streams, but, um, always plays as you said, these, off the wall and innovative decks. And it's always hype just seeing, how they play out. But, for the next two games, it's serious time. It's you gotta just go for it, and I'm excited.
All right, and it looks like we are ready for game two.
Praxhand's
Prax's
good.
hand looks good.
Yeah, you have all the influence, and you have turn two dinosaur nest. Like you have two of each and dinosaur nest. It doesn't get better.
On the other hand, if GameGromp keeps this hand, I might have to stop casting because I clearly have no idea what's going on.
I'm sure they're just waiting. So it is the one end of an era, though. So
I mean, you could inscribe Evelina. I mean, I guess there are things you could do. Okay. Whew.
All right.
This looks much better. Turn 2 Dinosaur Nest is where you want to be.
Yeah, one nest deserves another.
Yeah, interesting. Nobody has any igniters yet, so we will see how much these nests can get done.
Yeah, so I was actually just thinking about this, where if you draw the Rat King, you actually can't get double time and play the Rat King. But it's regardless of which tome you let off on. It was always going to happen this way. Which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, if Prack wanted to be super greedy, you could like play it on Shadow here, but then you wouldn't have double time for either of your cards. It seems like you're pretty resigned to... Oh, wow. So... Oh, okay. So playing on time anyways. I thought we might have seen the Rat King, but okay.
Yeah, for a second there I thought so too. I was like, oh no, Prack doesn't agree. But no, we're taking the much more conservative line and probably the recommended line at this point.
And this is a line that you seem to like anyways, the turn 4 Rat King, that you get your value right away.
I do really like being able to use my Rat King before he dies. And here, seeing that pause might make him not attack? I don't know. It's a tough call.
The pause is different than the ambush, right? Like, you wouldn't be able to ambush the Rat King ability, so the pause just means that it's a fast spell.
Oh, that's true. So the pause just indicates that he has either a shrivel or call to hit.
Right. Or devour. But you probably have seen that one.
But he didn't attack with the rat. With a dinosaur, sorry.
Well, the flyer just came out. Oh, yeah. Well, they're just trying to respect the field medic, but you can't really, like, field medic check.
This should help.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so just really valuing causing a discard here, but then that costs your Crow Guard turn? That's pretty interesting to me. Because your dinosaur, like, the dinosaur nest is flipping. Even if it's not Solux, which I think it will be here, you can just like Vikram the field medic and also kind of go to town, where you know that your Vikram isn't going to get Crow Guard yet. Because of the death.
Interesting. Did GameGromp play the field medic on his turn?
Right, yeah. It's because they wanted to contract the Zito and have the field medic in play.
Right.
Oh, interesting. So choosing to do that instead of the Solux. I think Prackalakin's really just saying, I'm going to ride this dinosaur nest to victory. So GameGromp's only board clear is the one end of an era. So maybe of similar vein as last game, just if you're able to go wide and just big enough, you're able to just win the game from there. So Solux is a dragon and not a dinosaur, so the Shelter Valley not helping there would still run into Shrivel. It's still running out there, shoving with the team.
Yeah,
so if you're GameGromp, you're able to block and devour, which is nice, but not really a long-term plan. Like, I guess your best draw ends up being Vikram for the Solux.
I mean, that's a lot of life gain that he just drew between the field medic and the Krogar. I don't know if it's enough to keep him alive. Given that we don't really have interaction for the flyers, I guess you could Krogar the 3/3 onto the ground.
Mhm.
Blocking is still difficult with the Solix there. Oh, wow. And the sight is just going to add even more pressure. Because the sight works with Killer, right? So that the Solix can now attack for 6.
I always forget this one.
Yeah, so you give it Quick Draw, attacks for 6,
Oh wow.
takes out... What a swing. And still silences the Void. Because
It
of
slices
Overwhelm.
and dices. And then I guess you just... Yeah, so attacking with all could be fine, but then you lose your son on the way back. I think you could just attack with one of them.
I think I would just send in the Rat, yeah.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah. Both you and Prackalakin are right. Yeah, that's just better.
Alright, so Zeta's gonna come down. Do we contract? It's only gonna get rid of a power, but GameGromp doesn't know that. Alright, so...
Kind of a tough one.
I mean, it does still let us Field Medic, and Field Medic's gonna gain a fair amount of life. And even with that contract, we'll be able to Krogar or Evelina on the following turn. So I don't mind.
So
that.
it's cut off a little bit, so I just wanted to bring it up. But the Solix has Killer again because of the Overwhelm from killing the Krogar, so it got Killer again.
Oh yeah, that's true. The Overwhelm from the site.
Yeah, so you mentioned that was greedy, like to play Prackalakin's list where you have double, 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 but a lot of that comes from specifically this combo. It's a little bit different than the show plus Sill's. I always forget what it's called. Sill's Stronghold. But it's pretty much every turn, as long as you're dealing the Overwhelm, you just keep on getting back Killer. Whereas Show just pretty much wipes out the whole board when it connects, but it does cost 6, whereas Solix also can interact with the Void, which is pretty sweet, and has a nice ultimate.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't do nothing. I think I like the... Oh, actually... Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So the Solix does just get to pick off all the small stuff repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool.
Right, so pretty much by being Killer, and as you observed earlier, it's like you kind of get this like bonus attack every turn, so you're just using the Sill's Stronghold passive multiple times. Like you're only attacking with one unit anyways, but since you have this Killer unit, you're kind of attacking multiple times with one unit.
Yeah, and the Overwhelm lets you deal some face damage while keeping the board in check.
Along with stopping like through the unknown and maybe even yeah, just general, silencing the Void type of stuff.
Alright, so if you're in GameGromp's seat, what are you looking to do here? The site is obviously an issue, but there's not a good way of dealing with it. How does this deck kind of come back from behind?
You might have to just Evelina attack the site. Because of the Shelter Valley, it's a 6/5, so if they block with 3 things, then yours is a 9/8. So at least you clean up like 3 of the dinosaurs. Playing the dinosaur nest, it's pretty rough. I mean, you just know that the Solix is going to eat your field medic again. Oh wow, just going for the kill here. I didn't do the math, but I'm guessing it's lethal. Or it would be lethal.
It's gonna be pretty close.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything in GameGromp's deck to come back from this kind of position.
Right, you can't Saloon Massacre. The Krogar doesn't do enough. I mean, we still play on this turn, but like
no, because the site's gonna give you Sill, and that's gonna double damage the Solux for lethal.
Yep. Well, yeah. I follow what you're saying. Okay, so going to game 3. So wouldn't have any other way. Match for Worlds. And GameGromp is going to be able to go first, which I guess the person... I didn't remember who went first in the first game, but it does end up being kind of interesting, where both decks are playing Zito, so maybe going second could even be advantageous in some spots, but more than likely, by playing cards like Evelina, and Rat King and Dinosaur Nest, you likely want to go first anyways. Those cards are a lot better when you could deploy them and then force your opponent to be a little bit more reactive. I wonder if Prackalakin's, greedy influence requirements are able to be met for the last game. That'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, definitely an important question that we'll hopefully get the answer to soon. I'm also noticing that Prackalakin only has 2 Waystone Igniters.
Mm-hmm.
So those Dinosaur Nests, if GameGromp can find a bunch of them, that does seem to be a very solid way to quickly close out this match.
Yeah, so just looking at the deck list again. So, yes, some of the numbers are a little bit interesting on this side. So, it's the 4 Zetos and 2 Waystone Igniters and 2 Nahid's Faithful. So, kind of playing a little bit of a spread there, whereas I feel like traditionally we'd see, say, 4 Waystone Igniter and maybe 4 Zeto.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the plan for this deck is, because with mid-range decks, they're so pliable in that they can either be aggressive or controlling depending on what they need to do. But this deck seems extremely mid-range. I'm not sure whether it prefers to be the control deck or the aggro deck. I would need a better analyst to tell me.
Yeah, I mean, it also just depends on how the draws line up in terms of what you're allowed to do. So GameGromp's hand going first. It's not like super flashy, but I do like all the implicit 2-for-1s that are happening here. I think it's like maybe around your average, maybe for the matchup slightly above average because your 4-power hands are a lot better than your 2-power hands.
Yeah, you could definitely do significantly worse, but I think you could only do marginally better. The fact that Zito kind of takes up your first 2 turns is pretty okay with a hand like this, because it gives you that extra turn to draw something relevant.
And then on Prackalakin
I'd be inclined
side,
to keep it.
Yeah. And on Prackalakin side, you're just lacking fire. It seems like a pretty easy mull, just waiting for the go-ahead.
Yeah, agree with that. Okay, so GameGromp, it looks like, is going to keep, and Prack is going to throw it back. And that second hand looked pretty good.
It looks like
all
it's a
depleted
6,
power, but that's a 6.
Yeah, if I'm reading it right, it's a 6,
makes
and then the Zito and Eavesdrop.
Even more backbreaking, because what do you discard here?
Yeah, I think that's right. I do think you have to discard Zito, unfortunately.
I agree. It's kind of awkward though, because we still can't play the Dinosaur Nest on 2. Oh, now we can. Okay.
But wow, the Eavesdrop is going to be so brutal. Like, in Prackalakin's situation, mulliganing down to 6 is not how you want your last game for Worlds to kind of go down, and you need both more power and even influence in some cases, and you need things that do things.
Yeah, that Eavesdrop hurts, but we didn't really lose anything too significant there. As long as the top of the deck treats us well.
It's kind of Dinosaur Nest versus the world now. I mean, this can line up pretty well though, so you're able to kill the Zito, and the next turn, if all GameGromp does is play Dunehill Clan, then you're able to use the Rat King and the bow to be able to kill that and then keep on attacking. But GameGromp drawing one of the Waystone Igniters really turns the tide back around.
Yeah, that was huge. So the Rat King can still answer the Igniter and swing.
Yeah, I like this. You just gotta keep your foot on the gas.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially like your deck's not necessarily like there are some powerful cards, but over time, I think uh, I think you want to try and just press your life total advantage while you can. A Vikram is huge. You just have to play it. Doesn't know that GameGromp has the Krogar in hand, but from their point of view, this was exactly what the doctor ordered. If only that Stonebreaker bow was a power, then you can actually sacrifice the Dunehill clan to play around Krogar. As it stands now, it's just going to be sent back. I wonder if we'll see another Vikram, though. Ooh, not quite.
Ooh. It is the 5th power, though, so everything is now playable in Prax's deck.
Yeah, so Stonebreaker bowing here the flyer to just, once again, just trying to limp over the finish line. We know the GameGromp has Field Medic in hand, but Prackalakin doesn't know that, and they're really just trying to use every edge they got. You might even have to use the Rat King to strength the 1/1 since the Dinosaur Nest is going to flip next turn into the Sheltered Valley. Or I think it's this turn, but maybe not. Okay, I was off by a turn. And then I know Prax flips the turn after GameGromps.
Well, Prax's first nest got killed by the Wasteland
Right.
Igniter, so this one has, I think, 3 turns left.
I think
2
it's just
turns.
Yeah, I think it's just the turn after GameGromps flips. I think because GameGromp played Nest and Wasteland Igniter in the same turn, then Prackalakin drew a Wasteland Igniter, or sorry, another Dinosaur Nest. So they're like on similar cycles.
Okay, so the Flyers are still getting in. Sindane will draw us a card.
Yeah, the Field Max can gain so much life or health.
Yeah, and interesting that we didn't use the Rat King to sack to kill a dinosaur before playing Sindane. Oh,
Yeah,
you drew a power, so we can still do it.
yeah, it seems like you just gotta. And I'm expecting to see the Field Magnet gain a bunch of health here. And then you can attack and use Shrivel on whatever double blocks one of your 5/5s. Because it feels like Prackalakin's kind of priced in to do so. I think GameGromp's trying to figure out if it's actually maximizing to a Field Medic here or to wait until next turn, where you might force Prackalakin to say, hey, if you have it, you have it. But like you can just induce that sometimes.
Yeah, I think the real question is like, if you Field Medic now, you're going to gain more life because things are going to be trading off.
Mm-hmm.
Disperse.
Oh,
Well, this makes it so that way all your 5/5s are good. Okay, so instead just try and do both.
interesting.
Yeah, so you could have gained one more health if you just played the Field Medic and then you play the Shrivel on your turn. You still end up with 3 power here.
And it also lets you play like a potential Evelina off the top if you
Right.
draw it by not using the Shrivel.
Yeah, not a big deal.
No, I think in the end it's not going to matter. Alright, so Prack drops to 3.
Yeah, so I think Prackalakin needs a Vikram on the Dunehill clan.
A Sheltered Valley makes the dinosaurs 3/3s, but without any ways of gaining health.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. I think GameGromp's gonna be our competitor from the TNA Invitational that's gonna advance to Worlds.
Yeah, what a match between these two. Definitely very enjoyable to watch. I think Prack is gonna decide a little while longer. The site can take down the 5/5, but it is just too much on the other side.
Yeah, it feels, it always feels rough to be so close, but sometimes that's just how it goes. And with no cards in hand, just a space, sending them all in.
Yep, and that is going to do it. Congratulations to GameGromp. You are now in Worlds. Condolences to Prack, but you put up a hell of a fight and earned some money while doing it. So,
Yep, so that takes care of the second semifinals. We know that GameGromp's going to Worlds. We know that Gozu's getting the $50. So we'll, I guess, talk to the players, but there's still something on the line, which is the title of TNE Invitational Champion, which is, one of the titles that Lights Out Ace happens to not have. So one of them can get it here. So I'm sure we'll still play out the finals, but we'll cut to a commercial break and just check in on the players. But we'll get the finals to you should things line up that way.
All right, see you in a few.